Before delving into the story, consider these questions. Would you sleep with someone to save your dying spouse? Would you forgive your partner if you found out they cheated to secure money for saving your life? Reflect on these questions as you engage with this emotional and powerful tale of love, sacrifice, and forgiveness. What would you do in the face of such a heart-wrenching dilemma? Stay tuned to Black Noddle to find out how Sarah faced this impossible choice. When Sarah completed university, she returned home and started attending her old church. In the same church was Elder Anthony, a very successful and respected man. Sarah was incredibly beautiful, with a smile that could light up any room. Many men in the church admired her and wanted to marry her, including Elder Anthony. Elder Anthony was a kind man, known for his wisdom and generosity. He had achieved much in life and was well loved by everyone in the community. Despite his success, he found himself drawn to Sarah's beauty and gentle spirit. One Sunday after service, Elder Anthony approached Sarah with a warm smile. "Sarah, may I have a moment of your time?" he asked gently. "Of course, Elder Anthony," she replied, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. They sat on a bench outside the church, the sun casting a golden glow around them. "Sarah," Elder Anthony began, "I have watched you grow into a wonderful young woman. You have a kind heart and a bright mind. I must admit, I am very fond of you." Sarah blushed, her heart fluttering. "Thank you, Elder Anthony, that means a lot coming from you." Elder Anthony took a deep breath. "I know many men have shown interest in you, and I am one of them, but I want you to know that my feelings for you are genuine. I care for you deeply and would be honored if you considered me as a potential husband." Sarah looked down, thinking carefully before she spoke. "Elder Anthony, I appreciate your kind words and your interest in me, but I believe that love is not about wealth or status. For me, love must be true and pure." Elder Anthony nodded, respecting her thoughts. "I understand, Sarah. I want you to know that my love for you is sincere. I will give you time to think about it, and whatever decision you make, I will always respect you." Days turned into weeks, and Sarah spent a lot of time praying and thinking about her future. She admired Elder Anthony's honesty and kindness, but she was still unsure. One evening, as the sun was setting, Sarah found herself walking in the church garden. She was deep in thought when Elder Anthony joined her. "Sarah," he said softly, "I don't want to pressure you, but I want you to know that I will wait for you, no matter how long it takes. Your happiness means the world to me." Sarah turned to face him, her eyes reflecting both gratitude and sadness. "Elder Anthony," she began, her voice steady yet tender, "I admire your kindness and generosity more than words can express. You are a wonderful man, and any woman would be lucky to have you." Elder Anthony listened intently, sensing the gravity of her words. But Sarah continued, her voice growing softer, "I must be honest with you. You have no place in my heart as a lover. I do not want to lead you on or give you false hope. It wouldn't be fair to either of us. My feelings for you are those of deep respect and friendship, but nothing more." Elder Anthony nodded, a gentle smile forming on his lips despite the pang of disappointment in his heart. "Thank you for your honesty, Sarah. It takes great courage to speak so openly. I respect your feelings and your decision." Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "I hope we can remain friends, Elder Anthony. Your guidance and wisdom means so much to me. I value our friendship and would not want to lose that." Elder Anthony placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Of course, Sarah. Our friendship is very important to me too. I will always be here for you as a friend and a mentor. Your happiness is what matters most." In the same church was a very humble young man called Michael, a singer with a sweet and charming voice. When he sang, his voice would bring tears to your eyes. Many people attended church on Sundays just to hear him sing. He was a man that every woman would love to marry. One Sunday, as Sarah sat in her usual spot, she listened to Michael's voice fill the church. His singing touched her heart deeply, and she found herself moved by the purity and emotion in his voice. She admired his humility and the way he seemed to pour his soul into every song. After the service, Sarah saw Michael standing by the church entrance, greeting the congregation. She felt a sudden urge to speak to him, to get to know the man behind the beautiful voice. She approached him with a warm smile. "Hello, Michael," she said softly, "your singing today was truly beautiful." It touched my heart. Michael smiled shyly, his eyes reflecting his humility. "Thank you, Sarah, that means a lot to me." Sarah was struck by his sincerity. "You do more than that, Michael. You inspire us all with your music." They talked for a while, sharing stories and laughter. But what happens when Elder Anthony refuses to let go of his feelings for Sarah? Keep watching Black Noddle to uncover the shocking twists in this tale of love and betrayal. One sunny afternoon, Elder Anthony decided to visit Sarah at her home. He arrived with a warm smile, carrying a basket filled with gifts and an envelope containing a significant sum of money. He was greeted by Sarah, who invited him inside. "Hello, Elder Anthony," Sarah said warmly, "it's so nice to see you. Please come in." "Thank you," Elder Anthony replied, stepping inside and handing her the basket. "I brought you some gifts and a little something extra in this envelope. It's just a small token of my appreciation for you." Sarah looked at the basket and the envelope, her heart sinking. She knew Elder Anthony was a kind and generous man, but she couldn't help but feel uneasy about accepting such lavish gifts. She took a deep breath and gently placed the items on the table. "Elder Anthony, I appreciate your kindness and generosity more than words can express," she began, her voice soft but firm. "However, I must be honest with you. I cannot accept these gifts." Elder Anthony looked surprised. "But why, Sarah? These gifts are just a way to show my gratitude and respect for you." Sarah shook her head gently. "I understand that, but it doesn't feel right to me. I don't want there to be any misunderstandings or feelings of obligation. I value our friendship and respect too much to let material things come between us." Elder Anthony sighed, realizing the sincerity in her words. "I see, Sarah. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I just wanted to help and show my appreciation." Sarah smiled warmly. "And I appreciate that, truly. Your support and friendship mean the world to me." "That's more than enough." Elder Anthony nodded, respecting her decision. "Very well, Sarah. I understand. Thank you for your honesty." As Elder Anthony left, Sarah felt a sense of relief. She was grateful for his understanding and hoped their friendship would remain strong. She knew she had made the right choice, keeping her integrity and the purity of her relationships intact. That evening, Sarah met Michael at the church. They sat together on a bench in the garden, the evening breeze gently rustling the leaves around them. "Michael," Sarah began, "Elder Anthony visited me today with some gifts and a large sum of money. He said it was just a gift, but I couldn't accept it. I didn't want any misunderstandings or to feel obligated." Michael took her hand, his eyes filled with admiration. "Sarah, you did the right thing. Your integrity and honesty are part of what makes you so special. I'm proud of you." Sarah smiled, feeling the warmth of Michael's words. "Thank you, Michael. Your support means everything to me." A few days later, Elder Anthony, accompanied by a few church members, visited Sarah's parents. They were warmly welcomed into the family home, where they sat in the living room, exchanging pleasantries and sipping on cool drinks. After a bit of small talk, Elder Anthony cleared his throat and began to speak earnestly. "Mr. and Mrs. Adams, I have come today to express my deep admiration and love for your daughter, Sarah. She is a remarkable young woman, and I would be honored if you would consider allowing me to marry her." Sarah's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Adams, exchanged glances. They had always respected Elder Anthony for his wisdom and kindness. Mr. Adams responded, "Elder Anthony, we hold you in high regard, and we appreciate the honor you show our family. We are ready to welcome you into our family, provided our daughter agrees." They called Sarah into the room. She entered, her eyes calm but resolute, and sat down next to her parents. Mr. Adams spoke gently, "Sarah, Elder Anthony has come to express his wish to marry you. We value his respect and kindness, but we want to know how you feel about this." Sarah took a deep breath and looked directly at Elder Anthony, then at her parents. "Mom, Dad, Elder Anthony, I appreciate the love and respect you have shown me. However, I cannot accept this proposal. If I marry Elder Anthony, I won't be able to give him my heart because I have no romantic affection for him, even though I admire him greatly. Elder Anthony listened intently, nodding slowly as she spoke. He could see the sincerity in her eyes and the firmness of her decision. Mrs. Adams reached out to Sarah's hand, offering silent support. "I understand, Sarah," Elder Anthony said softly, his voice tinged with sadness but full of respect. "Your honesty and integrity are commendable. I want you to be happy, and I respect your decision." Mr. Adams nodded, looking at Elder Anthony. "We appreciate your understanding, Elder Anthony. Sarah's happiness is our priority." As the visitors prepared to leave, Elder Anthony turned to Sarah's parents. "Thank you for your time and hospitality. I respect Sarah's decision and wish her nothing but happiness. Our friendship and respect remain unchanged." After they left, Sarah's parents sat with her in the living room, their expressions thoughtful. "Sarah," her mother began, "we want you to know that we support you in whatever choice you make. Your happiness is what matters most to us." Sarah smiled, feeling relieved and supported. "Thank you, Mom and Dad. Your support means everything to me." Later that evening, Sarah met Michael at their usual spot in the church garden. She recounted the day's events, and Michael listened intently, his expression filled with admiration and love. "Sarah," Michael said softly, taking her hands in his, "you showed such strength and honesty today. I am so proud of you. Your courage and integrity are truly inspiring." A few weeks later, Sarah excitedly shared some news with Michael as they sat under their favorite tree in the garden. "Michael, I got a job as a secretary at a company," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Michael's face lit up with a broad smile. "That's wonderful news, Sarah. Congratulations. I knew you would find something great. I wish you all the best in this new journey." "Thank you, Michael," Sarah said, her heart warming at his genuine happiness for her. "I couldn't have done it without your support and encouragement." Michael chuckled softly. "You've always had the talent and determination. I'm just glad I could be there for you." Despite their close friendship, Michael had never formally proposed to Sarah, though his feelings for her were clear in his actions and words. They spent many evenings together, sharing dreams, fears, and laughter. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, after a long day at work, Sarah sat on a bench in the garden, thinking about how much her life had changed. Michael joined her, noticing the contemplative look on her face. "Penny for your thoughts," he asked with a gentle smile. Sarah turned to him, her eyes filled with emotion. "Michael, I've been thinking a lot lately about us, about our future. We've shared so much, and you've always been there for me. I feel like there's something more between us." Michael's heart raced. He had been waiting for the right moment to express his feelings, and now it seemed that Sarah was opening the door. He took a deep breath and gently held her hands. "Sarah," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "from the moment we became friends, you have been a light in my life. Your kindness, your strength, and your beautiful soul have touched me deeply. I have fallen in love with you, Sarah. I've been waiting for the right moment to tell you, and I hope you feel the same way." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she listened to his heartfelt words. "Michael, I love you too. You've always been my rock, my confidant. I can't imagine my life without you." Michael smiled, his heart soaring with joy. "Sarah, will you be with me, not just as a friend, but as my partner in life? Will you marry me?" Sarah's tears turned to tears of joy. "Yes, Michael, I will marry you. I want to spend my life with you." In the church, when Elder Anthony heard about Sarah and Michael's relationship, he felt a mix of jealousy and disappointment. Unable to keep his feelings to himself, he decided to approach Sarah after the Sunday service. He found her talking with some friends and waited until she was alone. "Sarah," he began, his voice tinged with frustration, "can I have a word with you?" "Of course, Elder Anthony," Sarah replied, sensing the tension in his voice. He took a deep breath and spoke bluntly, "So it was because of Michael that you turned me down? Are you sure Michael, an ordinary bank driver, can take care of you? Think about this carefully." Sarah looked at him calmly, her heart steady. Elder Anthony, my decision wasn't about choosing one person over another based on their job or status. It's not about money or wealth. It's about how my heart feels. I followed my heart, not wealth. Elder Anthony's expression hardened. You have made a wrong decision, Sarah. I hope you don't regret it later. Sarah felt a pang of sadness for him but stood her ground. I understand your concern, Elder Anthony, but I believe true happiness comes from love, respect, and understanding. Michael gives me that. I know you mean well, but this is my choice. Elder Anthony shook his head and walked away, leaving Sarah feeling both relieved and a bit sorrowful for the confrontation. She knew she had made the right decision, but she wished it hadn't caused Elder Anthony so much pain. That evening, Sarah met Michael at their usual spot in the church garden. She recounted her conversation with Elder Anthony, her voice steady but emotional. Michael listened carefully, his expression thoughtful. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Sarah. I know Elder Anthony cares for you in his way, but I'm glad you stood by your feelings, Michael said, his eyes filled with love. Sarah smiled, feeling the warmth of Michael's support. I did what felt right, Michael. Our love is based on more than just material things. It's about the connection we share and the respect we have for each other. Michael took her hand, his eyes filled with love. I promise to always cherish you and prove that your heart made the right choice. Together, we'll build a life filled with happiness and love. As Sarah and Michael prepared for their wedding, the atmosphere in the church was a mix of joy and underlying tension. Some men, especially Elder Anthony, felt a pang of jealousy, wishing they had been the ones to win Sarah's heart. The women, on the other hand, envied Sarah for being chosen by Michael, whose gentle nature and beautiful singing voice had captured many hearts. Despite the mixed emotions, Sarah and Michael remained focused on their love and the journey ahead. They decided to have a moderate traditional marriage ceremony, reflecting their humble and sincere approach to life. The traditional marriage took place at Sarah's family home, adorned with colorful decorations and filled with the joyful sounds of laughter and music. Family and friends gathered to witness the union, dressed in vibrant traditional attire. The ceremony was rich in culture, with blessings from elders and the exchange of symbolic gifts. Michael's family arrived with gifts, including drinks, cloths, and a bride price, in a show of respect and tradition. Sarah looked radiant in her traditional Kent cloth, and Michael beamed with pride in his matching attire. The two families came together, celebrating the union with songs, dances, and heartfelt prayers. The couple had a modest church wedding. The church was beautifully decorated with flowers and ribbons, creating a serene and holy atmosphere. 3 months after their wedding, one evening, Michael returned home from work looking more tired and exhausted than usual. Sarah noticed immediately, and her concern grew. Michael, you look so tired, she said gently, approaching him as he sank into a chair. What's wrong? Is everything okay? Michael sighed deeply, rubbing his temples. I've just had a headache all day, and I've been feeling a bit dizzy. It's probably just fatigue. Sarah knelt beside him, her eyes filled with worry. You work so hard, Michael. Maybe you need to rest more. Let me get you some water and something for the headache. She quickly fetched a glass of water and some pain relievers. As he took the medication, Sarah sat beside him, holding his hand. You should see a doctor if this doesn't get better. I'm really worried about you. Michael gave her a tired smile. Thank you, Sarah. I'll be fine. I just need to rest. That night, Sarah made sure Michael had a light dinner and went to bed early. She stayed by his side, watching over him as he slept, her heart heavy with concern. The next morning, despite still feeling unwell, Michael insisted on going to work. Sarah, I can't miss work today. I'll be fine, he said, trying to reassure her as he got ready. Sarah looked at him with concern. Michael, please be careful. Promise me you'll go to the hospital if you feel worse. Michael nodded, giving her a kiss on the forehead before leaving. I promise. I'll be fine. However, as Michael was driving the company car later that day, his condition took a turn for the worse. The dizziness returned with a vengeance, making it difficult for him to focus on the road. His vision blurred, and he felt an overwhelming sense of fatigue. Realizing he couldn't continue, he pulled over and called his supervisor for help. Within minutes, an ambulance arrived and rushed Michael to the hospital. His colleagues informed Sarah, who immediately made her way to the hospital, her heart pounding with worry. When she arrived, she found Michael in a hospital bed, looking pale but conscious. The doctors were running tests to determine the cause of his sudden deterioration. "Michael," Sarah said softly, tears brimming in her eyes as she held his hand, "you scared me so much." "I'm glad you're okay." Michael managed a weak smile. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I should have listened to you. I'm glad you're here." The doctors explained that Michael's anemia had worsened due to stress and overexertion. They administered a blood transfusion and adjusted his medication, emphasizing the importance of rest and a proper diet. After a few days of treatment and monitoring, Michael was discharged from the hospital. Sarah was there to bring him home, determined to ensure he took his recovery seriously this time. Michael's health condition continued to worsen over time. He experienced increasingly severe headaches, dizziness, slurred speech, and memory loss. As a driver for a bank, his deteriorating health raised concerns among his employers. Although the bank initially provided financial support for his medical treatment, they eventually found it unsustainable. Realizing the financial strain, the bank sent Michael a letter informing him that he had been replaced. They encouraged him to focus on his health and assured him that he could reapply for a job if he recovered. The dismissal was a significant blow to Michael, both emotionally and financially. Without a steady income, Michael struggled to afford his medical bills. His worsening condition meant he relied heavily on Sarah. Despite her efforts, her salary was insufficient to cover the mounting medical expenses, leaving them in a challenging situation. Concerned about Michael's health and their financial situation, Sarah decided to visit the church pastor. She explained her husband's condition, detailing the struggles they had been facing since Michael's health had declined. The pastor listened attentively, his face showing deep concern and empathy. "Sarah, I am very sorry to hear about Michael's condition. He has been a valuable member of our church community, and his singing has touched so many hearts. We have all been blessed by his presence." The pastor then stood up and walked to a small cabinet in the corner of his office. He opened it and took out an envelope with some money inside. Handing it to Sarah, he said, "This is a small amount to help support Michael during this difficult time. This money isn't from the church coffers but rather from my own savings. Please use it to help manage things for now." Sarah's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "Thank you so much, Pastor. This means a lot to us. I was worried about how we would manage, and this will help us get through this period." The money from the pastor, though given with the best intentions, wasn't enough to sustain them for more than 2 days. Sarah was grateful but knew it wouldn't solve their long-term financial problems. As time passed, Michael's condition worsened, prompting another visit to the doctor. This time, the diagnosis was much more serious. Michael had a brain tumor that required immediate surgery. The news was devastating, and the cost of the surgery was beyond their means. Sarah had already exhausted all her savings and was in debt. Michael's family did their best to provide financial support, but they had limited resources. With Michael having lost his parents, there was only so much they could contribute. This left Sarah shouldering most of the burden. Despite her unwavering determination and love for her husband, the situation seemed hopeless. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Sarah decided to speak with the church pastor about the overwhelming cost of Michael's surgery, which amounted to almost $20,000. She knew it was a significant amount, but she had no other options left. "Pastor," Sarah said, her voice trembling with emotion, "the cost of Michael's surgery is almost $20,000. I don't know how we can pay for it. We've exhausted all our resources." The pastor's face paled slightly at the amount. "Sarah, that is indeed a substantial sum, but we cannot lose hope. I will bring this matter to the church board members and see what we can do to help. Please give me a little time to discuss it with them." The pastor met with the board members to discuss Michael's surgery. Although he personally had reservations about spending such a significant amount of money on Michael, he kept his concerns to himself. After presenting Michael's case to the board, Elder Anthony, who was a substantial contributor to the church and harbored a grudge against Sarah for not accepting his proposal, stood up to voice his opinion. He saw this as an opportunity to assert his feelings about Sarah's decision. Elder Anthony began, his tone measured but firm. While we all empathize with Michael's situation, we must consider the broader implications of using such a large sum of money from our church funds. If we start spending on individual health issues, we risk opening the floodgates. Many will bring their personal medical problems to the church, which could drain our resources and hinder our church's development. His words caused a stir among the members. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked troubled. The debate intensified, with some board members supporting the need to help a valued member of their community and others echoing Elder Anthony's concerns about the precedent it would set. After much discussion, the pastor decided to hold a secret vote to resolve the issue. The members cast their votes, and the result was against providing financial support for Michael's surgery. The decision left Sarah and Michael without the needed funds from the church. The pastor approached Sarah with a heavy heart. "Sarah, I am deeply sorry to inform you that the board has decided not to allocate the church's funds for Michael's surgery. We understand the gravity of the situation, but the decision was made to protect the church's future." Sarah's heart sank. She had hoped the church, which had been their pillar of support, would stand by them in this dire time. "Thank you for trying, Pastor," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I understand." Michael was admitted to the hospital again due to his failing health. The doctors were grim, warning that any further delay could be fatal. Sarah, already overwhelmed with worry, was heartbroken and in tears as she watched Michael's condition deteriorate. Michael, seeing the despair in Sarah's eyes, gathered what little strength he had left and reached out to hold her hand. "My dear," he whispered, his voice weak and filled with desperation, "please don't leave me. Please don't let me die. I don't want to lose you. Do your best to save me, please. I'm dying. Please save me." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she held Michael's hand tightly, her heart breaking at his plea. She felt a surge of determination. She couldn't let him go without fighting with everything she had. "I won't let you die, Michael," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "I will do everything I can to save you. I promise." Driven by her love for Michael and the urgency of his condition, Sarah reached out to everyone she knew. She called friends, family, and community members, pleading for immediate help. She explained the dire situation, emphasizing the need for urgent action. One of Sarah's church members approached her with a suggestion. Knowing the desperate situation she was in, the member said, "Sarah, I believe the only person who can give you the financial support you need is Elder Anthony. He has been known to give loans to people, though with interest. Perhaps if you go to him, he might be able to help." With a heavy heart and no other options, Sarah decided to confront Elder Anthony. She found him in his office and knocked on the door. "Elder Anthony," she began hesitantly, "I know we have had our differences, but I am desperate. Michael's life is hanging by a thread, and we need financial help. Please, I am begging you." Elder Anthony looked at her with a cold expression. "Sarah, I once told you to think twice about your decision not to accept me, and now you come to me in your time of need." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she knelt down, pleading. "Please, Elder Anthony, my husband is dying. I am begging you to help us. I will do anything. Please save him." Elder Anthony's face remained stern as he shook his head. "I cannot help you, Sarah. I will not lend you the money to save your husband. You should have thought about this before." As Sarah was about to leave, her heart shattered, Elder Anthony shouted, "Wait." She turned around, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "I will help you," he said, "but on one condition. I'm ready to do anything." "Please tell me," Sarah replied, her voice trembling. Elder Anthony leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "You must spend a night with me, and I will give you the money to save your husband for free." Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She felt disgust and anger rising within her. How could he make such a vile demand in exchange for saving her husband's life? She stood there, torn between her love for Michael and the moral repulsion she felt. For a moment, she said nothing, staring at Elder Anthony in disbelief. Then, with a heavy heart, she took a deep breath. "Elder Anthony, I am desperate to save Michael, but I cannot compromise my integrity and our love in this way. I would rather find another way than betray my values and my husband." Sarah looked at Elder Anthony, tears in her eyes. "You are a Christian, and you know what you are asking is a sin." Elder Anthony replied calmly, "Yes, I know it's a sin, but no one is perfect. We are all sinners in some ways. So please leave my office if you are not ready." Sadly, Sarah left his office in tears, not knowing what to do. She visited her husband in the hospital and couldn't bear to see him in such a dire state. He was indeed dying, and the doctor warned her that any further delay in his surgical treatment might cost him his life. Desperate and with no other options, 2 days later, Sarah visited Elder Anthony at his house at night. She arrived, looking torn and sad, her heart heavy with the decision she felt forced to make. Anthony welcomed her and led her to his room. Once inside, Sarah, feeling defeated and heartbroken, undressed and lay on his bed. Elder Anthony, unable to contain his anticipation, also undressed and lay beside her. During the intimacy, Sarah cried softly, her heart breaking with each moment. "Forgive me, Michael." "Oh God, forgive me," she whispered repeatedly, tears streaming down her face. She spent the entire night there, her spirit crushed by the weight of her actions. The next morning, Elder Anthony handed her a check for the amount she needed. "Here is the money. Go to the bank and withdraw it," he said, his tone devoid of the compassion she so desperately needed. Sarah took the check, her hands trembling. She left his house with a heavy heart, feeling a deep sense of shame and guilt. She went straight to the bank, withdrew the money, and rushed to the hospital to arrange for Michael's surgery. The surgery was performed successfully, and as Michael lay recovering, Sarah was by his side, her heart torn between relief and the burden of her secret. She couldn't bring herself to tell him what she had done to save his life, fearing it would shatter him. Days turned into weeks, and Michael's health improved steadily, unaware of the sacrifice Sarah had made. One evening, as Michael was resting, he looked at Sarah with gratitude. "You saved my life, Sarah. I don't know how to thank you enough. Your love and strength have given me a second chance." Sarah forced a smile, her heart aching. "I'm just glad you're getting better, Michael. That's all that matters." Despite the successful surgery and Michael's improving health, Sarah struggled with her guilt and the secret she carried. She knew she needed to find a way to come to terms with what had happened and seek forgiveness for herself. In the months that followed, Sarah sought solace in prayer and counseling, trying to heal from the emotional wounds. She dedicated herself to caring for Michael and rebuilding her sense of self-worth. She also found strength in her faith, trusting that God would help her find peace. Michael, unaware of the full extent of Sarah's sacrifice, remained grateful for the love and support he received. Their journey was fraught with challenges, but they faced them together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One day, Elder Anthony confronted Sarah again, this time with a chilling demand. "Sarah, I want you to visit me again tonight," he said, his voice low and menacing. Sarah felt a wave of fear and disgust. "No, I can't do that," she replied, her voice trembling. Elder Anthony's eyes narrowed. "Don't forget how you managed to save your husband. If you refuse, I'll make sure everyone knows how you cheated on him to pay for his treatment. It's either you accept another visit, or I tell everyone your secret." Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. The thought of her secret being exposed filled her with dread. She knew the scandal would not only destroy her reputation but also shatter Michael's heart. She couldn't bear the thought of hurting him after everything he had been through. That night, Sarah was overwhelmed with frustration and fear. She couldn't sleep, her mind racing with anxiety over the impossible choice she was being forced to make. She felt trapped and alone, unsure of what to do. Sarah realized that Elder Anthony's demands would never end, and that if she agreed to his terms, he would continue to exploit and threaten her. Determined to put an end to this nightmare, she decided to tell Michael the truth, no matter the consequences. One evening, she sat by Michael's bedside, her heart heavy with the burden she was about to unload. "Michael, I need to tell you something very important," she began, her voice trembling. Michael looked at her with concern. What is it, Sarah? Taking a deep breath, Sarah recounted everything: how she had managed to pay for his surgery, Elder Anthony's vile proposition, and the night she had spent with him to save Michael's life. As she spoke, tears streamed down her face. Michael's expression changed from confusion to shock and then to anger. You did what? He shouted, his voice shaking with fury. You slept with him? You betrayed me. Sarah tried to explain, her voice pleading. Michael, I did it to save your life. I had no other choice. Please try to understand. But Michael was too hurt and angry to listen. You are a prostitute, Sarah. I'm sure you were seeing him even before we got married. He was interested in you, and you probably accepted his advances long ago. Now you're telling me this? No, Michael, it's not like that, Sarah cried. I love you, and I did this for you. Please believe me. But Michael couldn't forgive her. I can't stay with someone who betrayed me like this, he said coldly. I want a divorce. Go back to your parents. I can't look at you anymore. Heartbroken and emotionally shattered, Sarah returned to her parents' home, carrying the weight of Michael's anger and her own guilt. Her parents welcomed her back, but they could see the deep pain in her eyes. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah struggled to cope with the trauma. She felt abandoned and misunderstood, her love for Michael and her desperate actions leading to her deepest sorrow. Her parents tried to comfort her, but the emotional scars ran deep. Sarah stopped going to church after everything that had happened. The emotional trauma and shame were too much for her to bear. Michael also ceased attending, feeling betrayed by both Sarah and the church. He was too afraid to confront Elder Anthony, who was influential and wealthy. Instead, Michael kept his feelings bottled up, cutting off all contact with Sarah. He blocked her calls and messages, choosing to forget the sacrifice she made to save his life. Sarah, left alone with her guilt and sorrow, struggled to forgive herself. She cried every day, feeling lost in a void. The weight of her actions and the subsequent rejection by Michael left her deeply depressed. One day, while out in the market, Sarah ran into Elder Anthony. He approached her with a smug expression. Sarah, I heard your husband has divorced you despite the sacrifice you made for him. Didn't I tell you that you would regret this? Sarah forced a smile, masking her inner turmoil. Humans are not like pillows that you can always sleep on, she replied, trying to maintain her dignity. Anthony smirked. I'm always available anytime you want to see me. Later, Sarah confided in her friend, sharing the depth of her sorrow and the betrayal she felt from both Anthony and Michael. I will never forget the pain Mr. Anthony has put me through and the betrayal from Michael, she said, tears streaming down her face. One night, Sarah received a call from Anthony. He requested to meet her overnight, as he had before. Torn and desperate, Sarah felt she had no choice. Her self-esteem was shattered, and she couldn't see a way out of the situation. Hesitantly, she agreed to meet him. Sarah was determined to put an end to Elder Anthony's manipulations once and for all. She told him she would visit him in 3 days' time at night, instructing him not to call her again, as she would come on her own. She was no longer married, and she saw this as a chance to resolve everything on her own terms. 3 days later, as promised, Sarah went to Anthony's house late at night. She made sure to be discreet, avoiding anyone who might see her. When she arrived, Anthony welcomed her with a smug smile, not suspecting what was about to happen. Good to see you, Sarah, Anthony said, leading her inside. Would you like a drink? Yes, please, Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. As Anthony turned his back to prepare the drink, Sarah reached into her bag, pulling out a knife. She approached him silently, her heart pounding. As he turned around, she lunged at him, stabbing him multiple times. Anthony gasped and fell to the ground, his lifeblood pooling around him. Sarah stood over his body, breathing heavily, watching until he stopped moving. She then left the scene, slipping back into the night. The next morning, the news of Elder Anthony's death spread rapidly across the town. The police quickly launched an investigation, seeking to uncover the truth behind the brutal murder. Sarah's best friend, who knew about her grudge against Anthony, went to the police and shared her suspicions. "I think Sarah might have killed Mr. Anthony," she told them. "She confided in me about what he did to her." 2 days later, Sarah was called to the police station for interrogation. She claimed she had nothing to do with Anthony's death, but the details she provided were inconsistent. Her nervousness and discrepancies in her story raised the officers' suspicions. After further questioning, the police found enough inconsistencies in Sarah's account to arrest her. She was taken into custody, facing the serious charge of murder. In the days that followed, the town was abuzz with rumors and speculation. Many were shocked by the turn of events, unable to believe that Sarah, who had endured so much, could be capable of such an act. As Sarah sat in her cell, she reflected on the chain of events that had led her here. She had been driven to the brink by Anthony's relentless demands and her own sense of desperation. Now, she faced the consequences of her actions. The trial was set. In the courtroom, the room was filled with people from the town, eager to hear the details of the case. The prosecution presented the evidence against Sarah, including the testimony of her best friend and the inconsistencies in her story. Michael heard the news of Sarah's arrest and her upcoming trial. He spent days reflecting on the kindness and love Sarah had shown him, remembering how she had saved his life at great personal cost. Realizing the depth of her sacrifice and the terrible mistake he had made by divorcing her consumed him. He understood that he would have been dead if not for Sarah's actions, and he questioned why he hadn't forgiven her. Unable to bear the thought of Sarah going to jail because of him, Michael made a difficult decision. On the day of the trial, he left his house and rushed to the courtroom, determined to set things right. As the trial commenced, Michael entered the courtroom, his face pale and eyes filled with determination. He requested permission to speak, and the judge, sensing the urgency in his demeanor, agreed. Michael stood before the court, his voice trembling but resolute. "Your Honor, I need to confess something. Sarah did not kill Elder Anthony. I did. When I found out that he had forced her to sleep with him, I couldn't forgive him. I went to his house secretly and killed him. My wife is innocent. She doesn't deserve to be jailed while I walk freely. I am the one behind the crime." Gasps filled the courtroom, and tears streamed down the faces of those present. Sarah, her parents, and their friends were all crying, overwhelmed by the revelation. The judge called for order in the courtroom and listened carefully to Michael's confession. After a moment of silence, he spoke. "Michael, your confession is a serious matter. You understand the consequences of your actions and the gravity of this admission?" Michael nodded, tears in his eyes. "Yes, Your Honor, I understand. I couldn't let Sarah suffer for something she didn't do." The judge then ordered Michael to be taken into custody. The courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. Sarah was overwhelmed with emotion, both for her husband's sacrifice and the pain they had both endured. As Michael was led away by the police, Sarah rushed to him, her tears flowing freely. "Michael, why did you do this?" Michael looked at her with a sad smile. "Because I love you, Sarah. I couldn't let you take the blame for something you didn't do. I'm sorry for everything." Sarah embraced Michael, tears streaming down her face. "But I did it, Michael. I killed him," she confessed, her voice shaking with emotion. Michael looked at her, his own eyes filled with regret. "Yes, and it's because I acted foolishly. I should have remembered the sacrifice you made for me, but I couldn't. So I deserve this punishment more than you. Please forgive me for not forgiving you earlier." Sarah held him tighter, their tears mingling. "Michael, I never wanted any of this to happen. I just wanted to save you." "I know," Michael whispered, "and I'm sorry for everything. I hope you find a man who will love you more than I ever could and have children with him. You deserve happiness, Sarah." Michael was jailed for the murder of Elder Anthony, and Sarah was released. The weight of their story left a profound impact on everyone who heard it. Their tale serves as a reminder of the complexities of human behavior and the lengths to which people will go for the ones they love. Sometimes, people commit crimes not because they are inherently criminals, but because of the desperate situations they find themselves in. Sarah's sacrifice to save Michael's life was born out of love and desperation. If Michael had forgiven Sarah, he wouldn't have ended up in jail for a crime he didn't commit. People often sacrifice a great deal to save their loved ones, and some keep these sacrifices a secret to preserve their relationships or marriages. The power of forgiveness plays a crucial role in healing and moving forward. When others confess their wrongdoings to you, it's important not to judge them too quickly. It takes immense courage and love for someone to admit their crimes. Remembering where we came from and those who have supported us along our journey is vital. Sometimes, it becomes too late to forgive those who once offended us. Holding on to grudges and resentment only leads to further pain and missed opportunities for reconciliation and understanding. In conclusion, the power of forgiveness cannot be overstated. It allows us to heal, to mend broken relationships, and to find peace within ourselves. Let Sarah and Michael's story on Black Knot'll be a reminder that love, sacrifice, and forgiveness are intertwined in the fabric of our lives, and that we should strive to embrace these values in our own journeys.